I have a feeling that restorative dentistry is losing its connection with natural aesthetics, with the real meaning of natural beauty. I believe we need to relearn to appreciate natural beauty. Aesthetics coming from nature. We are so used to designing teeth, designing smiles with our own hands, dentists and technicians, that we are starting to believe that what we do with our own hands is better than what nature does. We see that the majority of smiles delivered by us to our patients are not ideally copying nature. We need to reset our mind, reset our brain, relearn how to appreciate nature instead of believing that what we do is better than what a natural smile is. We see that many restorations, even though are performed by great dentists and great technicians, have shapes that don't exist in nature, has textures that don't exist in nature, designs that don't exist in nature. And we are starting to get used to it and starting to believe that that's the way to go. For me, that's not good, and the problem is that we see that the patients are also starting to appreciate more artificial smiles, synthetic smiles, fake smiles than natural smiles. As we learned the amazing, perfect imperfections of nature, the beautiful details that only nature can create and develop with natural smile designs. So that's another great advantage of technology and digital workflows. I believe that through technology, through scanning technology, through software, through milling and printing technology, we can now relearn how to copy nature for real. Copy-paste dentistry, as I call. As I learned from my great master mentor, Paulo Cano, we can't beat nature. And if we can copy nature for real, why struggle trying to reproduce with our own hands? But besides the analog versus digital thing, I believe that the most important message here is that we need to learn how to analyze nature, how to analyze natural teeth, natural smiles, and fall in love again with nature. And with that process, allow ourselves to improve our skills to reproduce nature for real. And with that in mind, with that passion for nature, for natural beauty, relearn how to teach our patients about what means really aesthetics, beautiful natural aesthetics. One fact that for me emphasizes this feeling that we are, as restorative dentists, missing our connection with nature and what beauty and natural beauty means is the fact that we hear all the time that the most difficult restorative case is the single central. And for me, as I always mention on my courses, this is not true. I really believe that's not true. And even worse, believing on that keeps us away from understanding the real challenge of restorative dentistry. The single central situation is the most difficult case when it comes to color. But in general, color is not the most difficult and most important topic on a smile reconstruction. Morphology, texture, arrangement, shapes, design, facial integration are much more important than color. We see many more articles talking about color than talking about what really matters. We see many more congresses talking about color than talking about what really matters. So we see an emphasis on color, and this is represented by this saying, the most difficult case in dentistry is the single central. For me, 6 veneers is much more difficult than a single central. When people think about 6 veneers, they say, no, but this is easy because we can blend the color. We don't need to match the color. Yes, it's only easier when it comes to color. But the more teeth we need to restore, the more challenging it is to reproduce nature. Because the more teeth we need to restore, the more we're going to lose the natural references. So the more teeth we have to reproduce, the more difficult the case is from my perspective. The more difficult it is to reproduce nature. Every good technician has several single centrals that look great. But when I go back and I look into my 6 veneer cases, very few of them are really completely natural. And usually I can identify from far away my 6 veneers much easier than I can identify my single central. Meaning it's much easier to blend in the single central than to make 6 veneers look really, really natural and disappear in the mouth. And if we add soft tissue problems, ridge defects, then it becomes even more difficult. So the bigger the problem, the more difficult it is to reproduce nature. And I believe this change of thinking, this paradigm shift, will help us understand where we need to focus. Dentists and technicians, they need to focus much more on understanding the face, how to understand lip dynamics, how to design smiles in harmony with faces, how to place teeth in the right position in the face, how to reproduce natural shapes, morphology, arrangement, and texture, and then, as the final detail, a nice color. Another point that for me emphasizes this issue is when I go on social media and I see great dentists and great technicians posting nice cases, well done dentistry with beautiful pictures, but with restorations that are not looking natural. And I see the professionals posting these pictures with pride. And the point here is not to criticize the dentist or the technician, is to show that we are losing this connection. And we are starting to create things that don't exist in nature and starting to be proud of it, and that is the problem. We need to rewind, reset our brain, go back to nature, and really understand the meaning of natural beauty. Sometimes I see dentists saying that they delivered an artificial look because that's what the patient wanted. The patient wanted artificial white, artificial shape, perfect symmetry, all square or all aligned. And I also don't agree with that. I believe we cannot blame the patient because the patients, many times they don't know what they want, and even the ones that think they know what they want, they actually don't understand the possibilities. It's up to us to show them the beauty of natural arrangements, the perfect imperfection of natures. And I can tell you, since I stopped designing smiles with my own hands and I started to copy-paste nature with digital technology, I changed my mind. And I learned something very, very important. When we try to reproduce nature and we fail or we get a little short, what happens is that the safe path to design smiles is to make them white and perfect. And then the patient is happy. And then we say this is what the patient wants. But in fact, what is happening is that we are protecting ourselves unconsciously because it's much easier to do them symmetric and white than to try to reproduce all the nuances of a natural, beautiful smile. And usually, when we technicians, we try to reproduce all these natural imperfections, many times the patients don't like. And we say, you see, the patient doesn't want natural, they want artificial, perfect. But the fact is that we didn't have the skills to actually reproduce the perfect imperfections of nature. That is the issue. It's very, very difficult to reproduce the perfect imperfections of nature. So then what we do is we play safe. And playing safe means make them all straight, all aligned, and artificially white. So digital technology is allowing me an amazing journey to go back to nature and start respecting nature again, fall in love with nature again. And the most beautiful part is when I'm placing these smile designs with 100% natural shapes and arrangements, even the patients that thought they wanted perfect, white, symmetric, they fall in love with the new natural, perfect imperfections of this design. Try it yourself and see what you think.